1944, June 6th, early morning. A cold wind blows along the coast of France. The sea is strangely restless. Through the fog, thousands of ships move slowly forward. This was not a routine military action. This was Normandy landings, the beginning of the largest amphibious operation in history. Today, we will explore the secret planning, the brutal battles, and the unexpected moments of this operation step by step. This story is not only about war, it is about courage, fear, and the strength of the human spirit. The turning point of the war. By 1944, World War II had devastated Europe. Nazi forces controlled much of Western Europe. The Allies realized one crucial fact: if they wanted to liberate Europe, they had to invade France directly. This plan was called Operation Overlord. The mission was so secret that many soldiers did not even know their destination. They understood only one thing: they were about to take part in a historic task. The general commanding the operation, Dwight D. Eisenhower, later said, "If this operation succeeds, it will change the fate of the war. If it fails, the consequences are almost impossible to imagine." The greatest deception. Before the invasion, the Allies launched an extraordinary deception campaign to mislead Germany. They convinced German intelligence that the attack would happen somewhere else. Fake tanks, inflatable airplanes, and false radio messages were created. German intelligence fell into the trap and expected the main assault in another region. Some soldiers later laughed when remembering how the tanks they were guarding swayed in the wind, because they were inflatable rubber decoys. Even in the middle of war, strange and almost absurd moments occurred. June 6th, before dawn. Hours before the beach landings, thousands of paratroopers were dropped from the sky. Their mission was to seize roads and disrupt enemy defenses. Jumping in the darkness was extremely dangerous. Some soldiers landed far from their targets, others fell into swamps. Still, they regrouped in small units and continued their mission. One paratrooper later joked, "We landed on France on the map." In reality, no one knew exactly where they had landed. But when dawn arrived, the real test began. The assault on the beaches. At sunrise, thousands of ships approached the Normandy coastline. The sea was filled with soldiers. Inside every vessel, hearts pounded rapidly. When the landing doors opened, troops leaped into the freezing water. Machine gun fire immediately greeted them. One of the fiercest battles took place on Omaha Beach. The waves were high and the equipment was heavy. Some soldiers drowned before reaching shore. Those who survived kept pushing forward. At that moment, the courage of ordinary soldiers became decisive. Despite fear, they advanced step by step, capturing enemy positions. Chaos and bravery. The beaches were scenes of pure chaos. Explosions, shouting, and smoke blended into one overwhelming storm. Yet small groups took initiative. When officers were killed, ordinary soldiers assumed leadership. One soldier later said, "I was afraid. Everyone was afraid. But when the man next to you runs forward, you run too." It was a simple but powerful truth. The turning point. After hours of intense fighting, Allied forces slowly began pushing inland. German defenses started to weaken. By the end of the day, thousands of troops had secured a fragile foothold on the coast. It was a small area, but its importance was enormous. Through this opening in Normandy, millions of soldiers and vast amounts of equipment would later enter Europe. The consequences of the operation. The Normandy landings changed the course of the war. They marked the beginning of Western Europe's liberation. But victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands of soldiers lost their lives. Every meter of ground was gained through sacrifice. Even so, the operation is remembered as one of the most carefully planned and significant military actions in human history. Human stories. The invasion was not only about strategy and numbers, it was filled with personal stories. Some soldiers carried photographs of their families in their pockets. Others wrote letters before the battle, unsure if they would return. There is also a striking story of a soldier who was so nervous that he boarded the wrong landing craft and realized it only after the fighting had begun. He later laughed and said, "I landed on the wrong beach, but in war, you don't get to choose." Conclusion: the largest landing in history. The Normandy landings proved that massive operations are achieved not only through the plans of generals, but through the courage of ordinary people. That day changed the history of Europe.
It opened the door to liberation. Today, the beaches of Normandy are peaceful. The waves still roll onto the shore just as they did that morning, but beneath the sand lie the traces of history. This event reminds us of one essential truth. History is shaped not only by great leaders, but by ordinary individuals. And sometimes, courage that begins at dawn can change the future of the entire world.